Next on Worcester News Tonight, a vigil held in central Massachusetts to remember those who have lost their lives to an overdose. Plus, demolition is officially underway at the future home of the Worcester Red Sox, and it's just one of 5 buildings being demolished. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Anna Botari. A Marlborough woman is leading efforts to combat the opioid crisis by remembering its victims. Kathy Leonard's son died of an overdose in 2014, and she's trying to make sure no parent has to live through what she did. Our Cam Jandro has the story.
More than 2,000 purple flags are in downtown Marlborough, each one a symbol of a person in Massachusetts who died of an opioid overdose last year.
I'm a very visual learner, so I thought, okay, it's one thing to hear this number, but it would be another thing to see it. And so that's where I got the idea to do purple flags.
Kathy Leonard never expected her son to be represented by one of those flags. He died in 2014. It was then Leonard realized she needed to do something.
I have tried to do whatever I can to help other people who are grieving, as well as people who need to get into treatment. It just helps me to heal, to help other people.
Leonard was one of many Wednesday taking part in a vigil commemorating International Overdose Awareness Day.
Every person who loses someone to the disease of addiction, deserves our compassion and our support.
In an effort to help families, grief supporter Franklin Cook spoke to the crowd. Cook has helped create a new program called SAID-OD, which stands for Support After a Death by Overdose.
Someone who's been through that can be very helpful to someone who's going through that.
Also speaking was former NFL player Chris Sullivan. Sullivan spent time with the Patriots during his 6 years in the league, but his addiction to alcohol and drugs took over his life.
I had a bad heroin habit, and I thought I was different because I graduated college and I got into the NFL.
Wednesday's vigil was the 5th organized by Leonard. Her goal? No more flags.
You don't have to be another one of those flags, that there is hope out there and there are people that are willing to support you. You just have to ask.
Now behind me are exactly 2,032 purple flags. The Department of Public Health posted numbers earlier this month saying opioid overdose-related deaths were down 11%. Leonard says those numbers are great, but there's still a lot of work to be done. As for SAID-OD, Cook says he expects the website to be up and ready by November. In Marlborough, I'm Cam Jandro, Worcester News Tonight.
Worcester ranks towards the bottom of a report scoring cities' clean energy policies and programs. The report from the American Council for an Energy Efficient Economy scored 75 of the largest cities in the country. Worcester ranked 55th. The score is based on 5 policy areas, including local government operations, community-wide initiatives, buildings, energy and water utilities, and transportation. Boston was ranked 1st overall. Anna Maria College students will have a new student center on campus as they head back to school for the fall semester. The school unveiled the newly renovated Bishop Flanagan Campus Center Wednesday with a ceremonial ribbon cutting. President Mary Lou Rattel says the building had accessibility issues and needed an upgrade. The campus center will not only serve as a dining hall, but also include the bookstore and student offices. Rattel says the renovation was also necessary for their growing enrollment and because more of their students are living on campus.
We're now 70% residential, so it was both a need and a want of part of the institution. That being said, yes, our students go and visit other colleges too, so they are so excited to know that we're really in a situation where we're now at the same realm as many other colleges.
Rattel says next they're looking to build an enclosed practice field for athletics, and they're currently in a feasibility study to add another academic building. Construction crews have completed the first demolition to make way for Polar Park. The stadium will be the new home for the Boston Red Sox AAA team. The Worcester Red Sox are expected to start playing in 2021. Our Brittany Schaefer talked to the local company leading today's work. She has our story.
An excavator flattens 50 Washington Street. The area beyond what will be left field is Polar Park's first demolition.
6 stories, retail and office space, and it'll be open on game days for ticketed patrons. And it'll also include a rooftop area for folks to look down into the ballpark.
Michael Goldman checked out the action Wednesday. His family owns Good as Gold Coffee, which is just feet away from some of the buildings being taken down. He says so far it's been an easy process.
There'll always be a little bit of adjustment, but they've handled everything very professionally with plenty of notice and warning and way ahead of time of what's been happening and when it's going to potentially affect our business.
Goldman says today's work is only fueling the excitement for businesses in the Canal District.
It's really a buzz in all around businesses. I've grown up in Worcester, went to college in Worcester, stayed in Worcester, and this really is kind of the most exciting time that I can remember.
Construction manager Gilbane Hunt hired Worcester company Fisher Contracting to help with abatement and demolition. President Sharon Fisher says their diverse workforce is proud to represent Worcester.
We're working aggressively and just trying to get through everything. And it's going to be a total change in the landscape for Worcester. And it's going to bring a lot of new business, a lot of new opportunities for our local community here in Worcester. I think it's a great thing.
Fisher says they have 6 buildings to tear down and a lot more work to do, but they are on schedule. In Worcester, Brittany Schaefer, Worcester News Tonight.
Plans for a new police station in Charlton are dropped after residents voiced concerns about a tax increase. The town administrator says both the town's fire and police stations need to be updated, but right now they can only afford one. Our Chandler Walsh has the details.
Charlton Police and Fire are forced to part with plans for a $28 million public safety complex. The project passed town meeting in May, but failed to move forward after another vote this month.
Just because the vote turned down the debt exclusion, the need didn't go away.
Fire Captain Rob Barton says some voters had misconceptions about the plan. Town Administrator Robin Craver says others worried they couldn't afford a tax increase to help fund it.
Costs are skyrocketing, and what a town could build, a similar building several years ago, is probably increased 30 to 40%.
Selectmen voted Tuesday to reduce the project and build only a new fire station. A police station could be added down the line.
They are going to direct the architect to take the design that we have, break it down into 2 phases.
The current fire station can't house all of the department's apparatuses, making response times longer. Barton says the police station doesn't meet department needs either, and a combined complex would have been the best financial option for the town and taxpayers.
We're trying to keep the cost as minimal as we possibly can. However, we also want to make sure that we do this right the first time and that we're not in a situation where in 15 years from now we're asking the taxpayers for more money.
Residents will vote to fund the fire station next year. The department urges them to come to informational meetings for input and questions.
Some people believe that a fire station can be built for $5 or $10 million. And the architect would have explained that that's just an impossible, thing in today's day and age.
Chandler Walsh, Worcester News Tonight.
New housing is planned for the Salisbury Street area in Worcester. According to the Telegram, one project calls for adding 114 homes to the Salisbury Hill condominium complex. The other calls for 123 units in 3 buildings. The homes, built by Premier Property Group of Dracut, will be age-restricted for people 55 and older if approved. Lawmakers on Beacon Hill are discussing several gun control bills. Proposals include limiting gun purchases to once every 30 days, regulating 3D printed guns, and requiring a report on where guns used in crimes were purchased. Cassie Arsenal has the latest.
An August hearing in the State House had people crammed into a small room, sitting on the floor, standing in the back all day to hear and weigh in on 68 different gun bills.
It's a lot of bills for an August hearing.
The room split into fiery colors, gun advocates wearing orange and those who want stricter laws in red. The bills range from regulations on 3D printing of firearms to better tracking the sources of guns recovered at crime scenes. Some of the testimony that commanded the room's attention was emotional.
My son Darkeem was killed over his Celtics hat at the young age of 14 years old.
A mother whose son was gunned down in 2004 and whose killer used an illegal gun, pleading for stricter laws to get more guns off the street.
All of these laws keep piling on their shoulders. And it is almost impossible to comply with mass gun law without finding that you're tripping up over something because you didn't know about it or didn't understand it.
Jim Wallace of the Gun Owners Action League says the mounting laws aren't showing results. One woman testifying why she opposes the stricter laws.
He drove me to a secluded area and proceeded to viciously beat me, tore my clothes off, and raped me repeatedly over the course of 2 hours.
Since that day, she says she's lived in fear and needs a gun to protect herself.
The only one who can keep me safe is me. And the only way I can do that is with a firearm.
Now what happens from here is the committee will discuss these bills more in depth. They'll make additions and changes. Then eventually they'll vote on these bills. If they pass, they'll head to the floor. At the State House, Cassie Arsenault, Worcester News Tonight.
New technology on the College of the Holy Cross's campus will give students a fresh option for food. Sally the robot assembles salads to a student's liking. Dining hall staff prepare the items and load it into the machine. The goal is to encourage students to eat healthier.
We change out the product on a daily basis. The system is programmed that when we put in a product, it notifies us when it's either out of date or if there's any kind of temperature issues. And so it's constantly rotated, constantly fresh.
It was super delicious. What the best thing is, it keeps all the ingredients cold throughout the day, so when it's time to have the salad, you're having a nice cold crisp salad.
Green that you want? That sounds pretty awesome. More options like grain bowls and breakfast bowls will be added later. Sally will be ready to serve from 7:30 a.m. to 1 a.m.